Going live. I'm live. I'm going to read my little sign. Targeted individuals. I don't know if that'll do it, but it's kind of a weird place. It's lighted, so it's pretty good in that sense. But it's like I got to put it over here or something. It's my shirt it says targeted individuals, and because people recognize, and I saw this shirt and I just thought, oh, they wrote something on it. But this is about how a lot of it, there's a lot of debate. I was watching a great thing by an interview by a well-known journalist named Annie Jacobson. She's written a lot of stuff. She's written The Pentagon's Brain, with the okay of the CIA and the Pentagon. And it's I've read some excerpts, but I watched her interview. And this was at the Commonwealth of California, I think in San Francisco. And she just simply admitted, I think around maybe the 40th minute, there was a guy, the moderator, that, not a debate, but the person that was interviewing her was a former CIA guy on a podcast or something at the Commonwealth of California in San Francisco. And he was asking her, it's like, important questions. But it was also, she just simply said, DARPA is putting some chips in soldiers. This is not me saying it. The Pentagon's Brain, she did that book, a book on Area 51. A lot of very just interesting things about government. And but the good thing is she doesn't take a side. She's very objective. And she did a book on the government's investigating of claims of paranormal psychology, ESP, just the history of our government, the United States government, competing with Russia and their paranormal, ESP, the stuff that started in the 50s and 60s. And I forgot the fellow's name, but he helped, I believe, start Puharov or something like that. Andrea Puharich, Puharich, Puharich. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he was a person that had an interest, a genius, but he had an interest in science and engineering and technology, but also in parapsychology. He helped start the whole Uri Geller craze. Was a believer in this stuff, but he also there's another book called the Radiohead Protocol, which kind of looks at the history of Puharich's Andrej, how to pronounce those names, I don't know, but Puharich's interest. But he was such a genius of ESP and Uri Geller and parapsychology. He had a group called the Round Table, where he would bring in psychics from around the world. And he had a real interest in it, but sometimes he just liked, I think, to fuck with people, forgive the language, and make people believe in the beings of nine, the circle of nine, and make them think that they're hearing voices of aliens using V2K. And that could have been part of some of the hearing aids that have its origins, or different types of hearing aids where they use a different mechanism to use, whether bone conduction, but anyway, to hear things that would bypass the normal, the cochlea or just around it. Anyway, my science is not really on par to discuss it in detail, so I won't pretend to. This is my shirt. Targeted individuals, V2K, and right there, Dead Peasants Life Insurance. I don't know if you can see it. Dead Peasants Life Insurance. I don't know. I know it's a government contract to torture people. They get federal grants. Hospitals are getting grants and some doctors and City Hall, and they just have to evidently non-disclosure agreements, and they get all this wonderful cash. Tons of money. They get tons. They just get tons of money to experiment on people as guinea pigs. Literally. It used to be, and in some places, like with new medications, they'll do consent, and they'll even pay people for different medicines to do some of these trials, double blinds, some with placebo effects, and they'll even pay the people. But in some of the other stuff, they will just won't. I think Cheryl Atkinson from Full Measure on YouTube has got quite a lot of videos showing experimenting done on even babies, like the support study, which was done on premature babies without the knowledgeable consent. Some of these people will do consent, but not tell the parents the whole thing, like, oh, it won't hurt the baby at all. And it's just like, it was to take away oxygen from babies that were premature already. So they already were going to struggle in life. And these parents have waited for whether 5, 6, 7, 8 months, not, whatever premature, and they're already going to have a tough road ahead anyway, if they were going to make it. But then the NIH gave money to Yale, I believe Duke, but Yale, University of Alabama, just was the head. And it was to make 1,300 babies and their families involved. Look it up. Support study and about premature babies and oxygen. Now, I know there's fake stories. Something, I think it's called Citizen, I forget but there's like 4 or 5. If you just look up those things, you can find it. So I don't think I think it's a real story. Well, it was on Cheryl Atkinson's Full Measure too. It was discussed on that show in depth. Well, for 10, 15 minutes, whatever. So it's real. And they will take science and money. And it's amazing how they will take science and money. And it's like Jesus would say, you can't serve God and money and mammon. Now, University of Alabama, you think of Alabama, and you think, well, it's a southern state, so definitely they'll be religious, Christian. You just think there's a third grader out there that you don't need an adult. You need a second grader, a third grader that'll say, this seems wrong. Common sense. This is wrong. But evidently, once you get higher levels of academia and the money, you got to get that, because who knows? They get so much money and fame. Maybe they would do it without the money, because they don't seem to be worried about the shame. They don't seem to be worried that it would hurt their reputation, because Havana Syndrome was in the news every other night for 5 years, and it's still in the news. It was on the thing yesterday on Breaking Points, saying that there's allotted $36 million. Ken Kleppernecker, I don't know how to pronounce it, from Breaking Points. It wasn't the two normal, Cigar and Crystal Ball. It was, but a guy saying that both levels of Congress and Senate, they all agree we need to help these people with Havana Syndrome. There's now maybe 1,000 people. And the whole backstory of, was it real? Is it not real? But then they'll on Fox News show, here's the patents. It's real. This is our own government. They're trying to blame it on China, Russia, and it's like, what are we blaming them for? I mean, here's our patents. I mean, we know that they did it too. China did, Russia did. Here's the United States patents to do this. So our own government's been doing this for years. And yet they're talking about, like, is this technology even real? Is it real? It's like, we have no idea. It's like, finally, Fox News, Jennifer Griffith, and the other day, just maybe a week ago, patient zero, Adam, was there saying, this is laughable. We know, it's laughable because we know this is real. We know the technology is real. Here's the patents. There are textbooks on this. And people are just like, well, we don't know. It's a mystery. They had 2011 and 2012 bioethics at the White House, and the White House bioethics. And when you think about it, why does our government, what is the purpose of a White House government bioethics board about? It is, they even admit, Amy Gutman from the University of Pennsylvania, Penn Biden Center, said, well, our government used to experiment on people. And she had an interview with Ari Velcher. And she said, well, our government used to experiment on people, and we want to make sure that our government isn't doing that or torturing people. We want to make sure that we're on the up and up and we're being kind and good, and we're not experimenting on people like guinea pigs and lab rats. And we want to make sure that we're doing the kind care. You know, they're an ethical board. Some of them have degrees in bioethics. Anthony Fauci's wife, she doesn't go by Fauci. Her name is Dr. Christine Grady, a very intelligent lady, but she doesn't go by Fauci, which is, I guess, in Italian, if you look up Fauci, and I'm not trying to make this up, I'm not trying to pin him negatively because we're weird. We all can have weird names. My name is Brewer. That means beer or something. I don't know. But Fauci literally can mean, what I've read is the sigh. You know, like the angel of death. What do they call it? With the curve, the knife with the curve, the sigh, the sickle. That's what Fauci actually means, or a big gaping jaw mouth, like a, you know. So the big meaning was a sickle, like the angel of death at the National Institutes of Health. Ironic, and I'm not, you know, they've done also tremendous good. So I don't want to do in bad, because sometimes they've helped medications on AIDS and other things to help. And so, but I don't have enough, I just don't have the knowledge and scientific education to say what is the right and wrong. All I know is during the pandemic, all we got was bullshit when President Obama told them, let's not do gain of function. This is the official story. This is not a conspiracy. The official story is they were told not to do it. Okay, we won't. They did it an end around, did it anyway. A million Americans are dead. Who knows how many are suffering and injured, but a million are dead around the world. How many millions? And he didn't lose his job. So it makes you wonder if he was really told, hey, don't do it, because if I did something that caused that, and I did anyway and caused one death, I'd be in the Who Scout. My life would be over. I wouldn't be getting awards and then make a vaccine that I could profit off of my rebellion of, I won't do it, and then do it anyway, you know, gain of function in bats, and then make profit off of their death by making a vaccine in the who knows how many hundreds of millions from Moderna and Pfizer. It's almost like these people only exist, all of us, as guinea pigs for the 1% to make a vaccine. Let's introduce a sickness, a mental illness, painful something that doesn't exist yet, so that we can create a brand new medication to give them. Tell them they need it. So these people, including myself, would have been perfectly fine, wouldn't have needed pain meds, wouldn't have needed this or that. It's like women having broken heart syndrome that was, you know, in the 90s in Japan. I think it's just the same thing as Havana syndrome hitting in the heart. And if they have synthetic telepathy, they can see, and for some people's mind, you know, they can actually know when a person's going through something, and then put a physical pain like a zap in the organ of the brain, the heart, and then put a physical ailment there, forcing them to go to the doctors to buy an expensive medication. It's like that is where it is so capitalistic. And I'm not talking capitalism versus socialism. I'm just saying, if you are a TI, you realize just how evil, and when you think some people in our government really are. They literally think of you. They can kiss the baby. They can go to church. They can do all this. They can put videos of them saving a dog or going like that to a kid, wrestling their hair or hugging somebody. Or here's a black friend. Here's a yellow friend. Here's a Hispanic friend. Here's a white friend. Here's, you know, But then when they look deep and they look at the records, they see just a level, not just of depravity or hypocrisy. We're talking cruelty when they don't have to be cruel, but they do it anyway. I mean, it's just, anyway, look at these issues. Look up this support study. And I was titling this about biometrics. And my belief is that a lot of these, Ann Jacobson said in The Pentagon's Brain that a lot of these soldiers actually are. The Commonwealth of California video. I'll read this. I'm sorry, guys. I was doing this. Living Purgatory. My friend, I'm mine behind and catching up at 1.75. BCPSP chip me. I've got two. Oh, good. Okay. I got two evidence. I'm less than 4 men behind. Oh, that's all right. I found an amazing video connecting horrible, evil things being done by the NIH. Yes. When I saw that, I think James Lyko had a video that the bioethics, the White House bioethics in 2011 and 2012. And it had like 9 or 10 people. James Lyko had it on. I have it on my own YouTube on created playlist. If you look it up, you can see it there and, copy it. And the end of it, it's got 45 minutes of people. It's like the lady stands up at the beginning. It's like, I'm a target individual. I want other people, if you're a target individual, stand up. And suddenly 75% of the room stood up. And they're like, yay, we're here. And then it's like, the guy that was doing the front of the bioethics, like, I understand there's over 300 people that wanted to give their testimony, but obviously we don't have enough time for that. But we'll try to get, each person get a minute and a half, but it's like 300 people. This was in 2011 and 2012. Can you imagine being a targeted individual before Havana Syndrome? Before it was an everyday, I mean, if you're just on InfoWars talking to Alex Jones, and I mean, thank God for those people that started the conversation, and John Hall and, Dr. Duncan, and it's just Eleanor White, Cheryl Walsh that started this stuff. And, now we, Frank Allen and Ella Free, God bless her, and Dr. Matt Meigs, because they put it out there, freedom for target individuals, PAX International. I'm just glad that people are putting the stuff out there. I mean, I have a real bad thing of wanting to understand everything and what's right, but we all have different programs. I definitely was put on some kind of religious, to the point of scrupulosity, religious OCD. That's the only mental, I mean, these RF radio frequencies do create a depression. Now, with my case, they implanted this, and I have the scripts for my pain meds right over there from all these years. Like, I finally got help for over 20 years ago, like 23, 24 years ago, around 1999. And I didn't know what caused it. I was sent to specialists in Portland, OHSU. And it wasn't until I started getting V2K when I was 45. I'm 51 now. And to realize that with V2K happening through the side of the wall, and it makes just sound nuts when you describe this to people. And I understand that, but it's what other people go through the same thing. And what happens is that they implant a painful stimuli, what they call it. I don't try not to use the word implants, because our government has put in the TV has made us say, oh, I'm implanted with stuff from the government, and crazy look in their eye. And it's like, no, they really do this in the tooth or something, where that's why they can actually hear radio signals and radio stations come through. Not everybody with dental work has it, but some rare people have it. And these biometrics are done. In my case, it was right here in the lower part of the side, and it causes a painful signal, just a painful signal like Havana syndrome, hits you in the side of the heart, or in some people in the head, and it's just a debilitating. When it happens, it just doubles over pain. And if it keeps happening, it starts feeling like a necrotic tissue, like just painful. and they keep it at a frequency. They keep it on. In my case, because I didn't know it, literally from the age of 15, 16, while you're sleeping, they can do, if they have a biometric implant in there during an operation, they can turn it on at a very low frequency to where you don't even know, it's a little that you've been feeling a little down, a little, or pain, and it starts to grow slowly, just like little in the dial. They just start doing it up a little bit more. And you just figure that you feel something bad and you don't know what it is. And your doctor who's, that maybe some doctors don't know, or some people in the hospital don't know, like in the support study, but some definitely do. And the administrators definitely do. And out of pressure to get money and grants from the NIH. Anyway, in my case, you can feel something. They can increase the frequency like a radio station, and slowly, and you start getting depressed. You start feeling physical pain. When you get physical pain, you start feeling depressed. And Havana syndrome, there's so many of us regular people that have had this done to us by our own people in our own small towns and big city hospitals, that they have to make it, shit, there's too many of us. From the White House Bioethics Symposium, we've got it. Let's blame it on Havana. Let's have our own FBI, not people from other countries, not their FBI, not their Secret Service, or at MI6. A few Canadians, but it's mainly our people, America's people, FBI, CIA in China, Russia. Blame it on them. They're doing it. And after 5 years, they got pissed. It's like, it's not Cuba and all of them. It's not us. Quit blaming us. And finally, the CIA guy is like, yeah, we now know it's not a foreign adversary. So now we know it's not a foreign, it's fake. It's not real. It's not the foreign adversary is not real. It looks like. And people have taken that story and instead say, oh, so he's admitting directed energy weapons are fake. It's like, no, he's saying it's not a foreign adversary. So Leslie Stahl, 60 Minutes, you would think you would say, well, if it's not a foreign adversary, then who is it? Who else is in the room? If it's not a foreign adversary, that means it's our own government. It's our own. But you'd think she would ask that, but she didn't. It's like if there's 12 people in a room and you admit 11 people in the room didn't do it, who's left? But they didn't ask the question. Anyway, Havana syndrome is our government's attempt at an alibi to blame another country for what our own government, we as Americans, Christian America, call it whatever, we as evangelicals, as conservatives, as liberals, call it whatever, we have elected people, and those people, it's like Animal Farm, George Orwell, it's like these animals get mad at the owner of the house, the farm, think he's a brutal dictator, and he was. So they elect themselves to kill the guy, and then they elect new animals to take his place. And those animals start thinking they're better than the animals that elected them. And those animals become crueler and become just like the master that they hated. And so they start, the other animals start wanting to resent and wanting to kill those animals because they became the very dictator that they hated. And so, I haven't read the book, but I read a thing about it anyway, that's what biofrequencies does. They raise it up slowly to where you can't even notice the difference until weeks or months later. And then you get these sharp pains and you go to the doctor. But if they sign in the hospital non-disclosures, you hope you have an honest person somewhere that'll tell the truth. Police, city hall, somebody, Democrat, Republican, pastor, family member, friend, neighbor, somebody. And if you've never heard anybody, you're thinking, what did I, it's like nothing. I hate to say this because I studied to be an evangelical minister, an Assembly of God minister, went 3 years to Bible college, interned in Iowa. Not one person, not one Christian, not one secular humanist, not one anything, Hindu, Muhammad, Muslim, not one, or Christian, evangelical or liberal, Catholic, Protestant, not one came up to me ever, even since then, and said, "We're sorry. We know that you know what we did." But even then, they know I know. I went to the rally in Portland in 2019 with Ella Free and Dr. Matt and Meads and all the other 30 people. I saw the bioethics, and it's just like they're still doing it to me. V2K I still got neighbors that they're pretty, nice, but sometimes they do those little games. They used to do the video thing. So anyway, I'm going to see what you're talking about, my friend. I'm caught up. Can you add links to what you're talking about? Oh, I would look just, if you can, just type in my name, Alan Brewer Nielsen. It's in the playlist, created playlist, unless the Fusion Center screwed with it and it's not there. Because I've wondered if other people get my videos or if it just only goes to the Fusion Center and they make it look like that, oh, I got people watching it and it's only them. Because I noticed I have not had maybe one subscriber, but it could be only them. And they're just doing all this time wasting and money wasting. And it's a religious town like Dallas, conservative. They have weekday school of the Bible, and our secular schools, weekday school of the Bible. And they still went along with this torture and suicide, torture for the purpose of suicide. But they use religion to make it look like they're spiritual, like there's a moral. And it's like that's the one thing I spent my entire life studying was Christian apologetics and atheist apologetics. It was my main interest. I was a CNA. I didn't go on to become a minister because I wasn't able to raise money for that last year. Anyway, they tried to commit me in secret to hide what the hospital did to me. Dr. Mengeles, yes, Nazi doctor. I was before Havana, yes. Yeah, mine happened around 1987. I was in high school and then Bible college. So this is Cheryl Welsh. Look up Cheryl Welsh in Mind Justice. She started that in the 80s too. So, and she was on, I think, InfoWars, but in Cheryl Welsh. Some of the people you are talking about, I've been perped by and found they were COINTELPRO. Yeah. I don't get V2K, yeah. Michael Bell, Michael F. Bell wrote a book. I have it. The hidden crime or the secret crime. Michael F. Bell. If you look him up, he's on YouTube. And he's got all the stuff, but he doesn't have V2K himself. So he thinks he's got the super soldier thing going on, but he admits he doesn't have V2K. I'm kind of glad that I hate having all that and having them tell you what you're thinking about and all this. But if I didn't have V2K, I'm kind of glad because that's the thing that made me realize for 30 years what my side pain was. Literally every day, God, what is this? What is this? Why don't I have feelings and emotions? To some degree, a little, but it's like it was constantly hitting me in the heart and getting worse. 30 years of this. And I was working and I had pain meds. So I'm thankful for my doctor for that. Very thankful. They could have done nothing. But it's like I should realizing I didn't have to go through any of this. No pain meds. I was just used as a guinea pig. I couldn't be a minister because I had to start my life after 3 years of Bible college, becoming a CNA and going to find everything was hooked on pain medication and OxyContin. And it was done in a religious town like Dallas. And still to this day, not one person, even though they know that I did. I finally got in trouble with the police because I wrote in front of the city hall, in front of the cop shop, don't target people, V2K, and I sprayed it. And I wanted them to see it so they would talk about it openly. I went to the newspaper there, gave them some pamphlets so that it would, let the word get out. But, I didn't get arrested, thankfully. But, I just had to keep coming back to the court because I wanted them to discuss it. But this is like November in 2019, and nobody knew what was around the corner. Literally at that time in China, COVID was breaking out. And within a few months, they were giving everybody this vaccine. And a lot of TI channels were promoting the idea that vaccines are the beast or the 666, or at least or what they're going to use to give everybody V2K and surveillance technology, biometrics in them through a vaccine. I mean, I don't know. I didn't want to give people, tell them I did get vaccinated because they already gave me V2K and all this. I don't know if it could get worse, but I already know I already had it. And, but I didn't want to tell people to not get something if I didn't know that it could save their life. If I didn't know, the only thing I knew for sure is what I had was V2K and all this. And if I told people, don't get that vaccine, don't get that shot, and they died because I told them not to, well, that'd be a hell of a thing too, wouldn't it? I mean, I can only tell them, hey, I know I have V2K. I know I have this, and these jolts, and Havana syndrome was in the news every night. So I could only really say this, and of course, the ringing in the ears and all that, and these jolts, and the stuff is real. And with the brain chip interface, the brain computer interface, Elon Musk and artificial intelligence is getting too scary right now. We have to take a break. We are, through 30 years or 20 years or 10 years, we are the guinea pigs for their little artificial intelligence little schemes to make money off us like we're just animals in medical research, like Fauci's. And it's funny because it's Dr. Fauci, of course, with the pandemic and the vaccines. And across the dinner table is his wife, and she's one of the 9 people, one of the main people in charge of looking into targeted individuals. She finds subjects, people that are to be participants in this experimental program without consent, without knowledge, without our okay. And it's just, they keep it so tight. I literally don't even think, I don't know if this gets out to other people or many other people outside the fusion center, because you would think that other TIs, if there's a lot of them, you would think they would be opening this up, people writing it in, but I don't get it. So they are hiding and putting my stuff away. So I got to put this away, my video, because my mom's going to be home soon and I want to make her something. So they gave me the found implants. Oh, Kidder. Oh, I heard about Kidder. Yeah, found many implants in me. This is real. They have thrown me in the hospital several times. I was given the link to your channel by another TI. Good, thankfully. I hope it helps. I get assaulted by radio frequencies. They gave me 19 back. Yeah, I have noise and yeah. The people who run the good program also do the calls. Yeah, I don't. But I have noise in my head all the time, and I think the subliminal zoo. I would say there's a 2012 targeted individual evidence, targeted justice, PAX International. Targeted justice has like 100 targeted individual websites. If you look it up, it lists other websites, PAX International, ICATOR. Anyway, and just, I would also say on human and animal experimentation, Full Measure with Cheryl Atkinson. Just the history, including the support thing with the interns, with the babies that are premature and the oxygen. And I'm gonna go live in purgatory. I know going through and Lindy Ellinger. Sorry, I just saw the green and I didn't know it was like 2 different. I'm gonna go make some dinner for my mom. And I'll try to do a thing in a couple days. I hope you're all okay under this. Yes, I hope so. I hope it is. And the thing is, look up Breaking Points. They had one last night on YouTube on Breaking Points. It's a news channel. And they were talking about V2K again, how Congress has allocated both sides, which never happens, he said, where the Republicans and Democrats are, everybody unanimous wants to give money to the people who are suffering from Havana syndrome, which we know is an alibi, our government's alibi for the targeted individual program. So if you look it up, Breaking Points, they're talking about us, and they're trying to do something to help us finally. And hopefully for the people who are not with us, explain it and help out the families. I just hope they come clean, like Bill Clinton did in '95, and in '75 they had the church committee. The Republicans are trying to do another church committee and holding the FBI responsible and the CIA, our intel agencies, but that rot goes all the way. It's like Red Fox would say, beauty is skin deep, but ugly goes straight to the bone, or something like that. All right, I'll be back in a couple days or something like that. So, all right, Living Purgatory and Lindy, I'll talk to you guys in other words later in a week or two. Okay, like my shirt. So, and Dead Peasants Life Insurance. That's what they think we are. So, anyway, and I'm sure the people at the Fusion Center are watching this. What amazing Americans, I'm sure everybody's so proud of. I'm sure all the people of faith are so proud to have you in their cities and towns, and they're so lucky. They're so lucky to have you as a friend. All these torturers getting all that money, ruining the entire town's reputation for torture. The Spanish Inquisition has come back, but they do, it's for science. Really, it's for money, capitalism. And, it's to help spiritually save people. And it's like they were doing this to me when I was studying to be a minister. And that's all I did ever since then, to study apologetics and, anyway. Anyway, may the Lord be with you, TIs, actual TIs, and to keep our head on our. And the main thing is, sorry I did this, but when they do this, by taking out the pain and the emotion, it's like Robert Duncan said in the books, it is to take away so you don't get a sense of selfhood. You don't feel your emotions. It's done intentionally for that purpose, to where in time, and this is true, I've experienced this because of that side pain. What it does, it makes you what they would call anhedonic. You still have some emotions, but it's done in such a way to hit you, make it almost necrotic to where you don't get much feelings. The best thing, winning a lottery, or the love of your life, or the worst thing, and they're doing this to you on purpose, intentionally. Protestants, Catholics, Muslims, just Christians, Jews, Muslims, atheists, they're capitalism. That's all it is. And they're not going to find out it was me, was it? It's like, no, the government, no, we won't tell them. They'll be dead before then. That's the people of your town thinking that about you. Even if you've never hurt anybody, they want you to have no emotion. They don't want you to be able to even be a person. They want you to have no feelings. And this is your government. But get pissed off. Let that anger, people say, oh, don't be angry. It's like, well, don't act on your anger. Don't do because you'll be in the news for a day or two, and it'll help a little bit. It's like, we don't want to take an innocent person's life. It's just, it's better for you to stay alive and fight. And, I can understand the anger totally, but it's just, I totally do, but it's just, that's what they want you to do, because you'll be in the news for one day. These sheriffs get to be on TV and hug if it's like dead kids or something, and, like those horrible situations, and the sheriffs get to go, and the police, we're going to be Salem strong. We're going to be Dallas strong, all this pretending to care about the kids and, and the families, and give them a hug, and they get to be on TV as heroes. And they're the ones that caused it in the first place. They try to, and then they blame it on mental illness. And it's like, we're going to be Dallas strong. We're going to be Salem strong. We're going to get together. And they're the ones that caused it. And they got money for causing it. They're like Fauci. They caused the illness, told not to do it. They do it anyway. Then they get profit off it. They make the vaccines, force people to take it, and they get rich off of it. They caused the thing in the first place. Then they create the medication. They force people to take it, and they get rich. It's just, it's like making somebody nuts, drive them nuts, irritate the shit out of them, V2K, jolts, all this. And then somebody does react, like the cruise kid, or the guy in the theater, the the Jane, whatever his name was. And then the police get to be on TV and, oh, we're going to be strong. And it's like, this person had mental illness, mental issues. That guy was like an Ivy League scholar, the guy in the movie theater. He was, one of the top of his class, and they fucked with him. They just decided, just like the Harvard guy, the Unabomber, it's well known now. He was part of the CIA, part of he was a guinea pig in the 60s. He was a young 16-year-old in the Harvard class. They decided to fuck with him to see how he would do under stress. And then he found out about it and he went nuts. And now, they get to be heroes on TV. We caught the Unabomber. It's like they were the ones who caused it in the first place. They took a brilliant person, get him so mad and angry. But he didn't have, anyway, they caught him and now his life is in prison. And our world lost a smart, great person because they wanted to see if this technology could. I mean, they're just shitty people. Anyway, let's keep this going. Let's let people know. And with Havana Syndrome, when you get down, when you get depressed, realize what helps me is Havana Syndrome. This is out there and people do know about it. And once you let people, this is the same thing and it's an alibi. It's their attempt at an alibi. And realize they're trying to take away who you are, your emotions, your beliefs, if it's your head, your heart, and get angry and realize it and use that to look up and research and, but be smart. Don't freak out. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Okay. All right. Take care, guys. Bye.